I'm just your average, snack-loving, adventure-chasing golden dog. And guess what? My best friend Dad and I go on the coolest adventures. We've got a big black Jeep named Birdie, a whole world to explore, and, of course, plenty of snacks. Every week is a brand new tail-wagging adventure. You never know what we'll find. Hidden carrots, new friends, maybe even buried treasure. So grab your hat, pack your snacks, and come with us.
Harley and Dad's epic Canadian tour, Saskatchewan! As the prairie sun rose over the horizon, Oliver rumbled down the quiet highway, tires humming on the road. Harley sat up proudly in the passenger seat, with his tongue flopping out and a paw on the dash. His tail wagged like a little helicopter blade. "We made it, Harley," Dad said with a smile. "Welcome to Saskatchewan." Harley woofed happily. "Is Saskatchewan the one with all the sky?" Dad chuckled. "It does have a lot of sky. Wait until you see what's under it." Their first stop was Grasslands National Park, where the wind whispered through the tall prairie grass like waves on the ocean. Harley bounded through the open fields with pure joy. "Dad, no fences, just running!" Dad spread a blanket under the wide blue sky. "That's the prairie, pup. Nothing but grass, wildflowers, and sky." They watched bison in the distance, giant, shaggy creatures moving slowly through the fields. Harley's jaw dropped. "Dad, those are snack cows." "Those are bison," Dad corrected, laughing, "and they're not for snacking." Later that day, Harley spotted something curious. "Dad, the ground's got holes, with teeny squeaky guards." Dozens of prairie dogs popped in and out of their burrows, chirping and chattering. Harley laid low and watched, fascinated. "They're like popcorn with tails." One bold prairie dog scurried up and squeaked at him. Harley wagged his tail but stayed respectful. "Good manners, buddy," Dad said. "Always let the locals make the first move." The prairie dog offered Harley a piece of dandelion. Harley sniffed. "I prefer cheese, but thank you." Next stop, Moose Jaw. "Is there really a moose with a jaw here?" Harley asked, nose pressed to the RV window. "You bet," Dad said. "There he is, Mac the moose. He's the largest moose in the world. Also, there are tunnels." They took a tour through the underground tunnels once used during Prohibition. Harley wore a little hat and played secret agent the whole time, sniffing corners dramatically and barking softly at shadows. "I think I found a clue, Agent Dad," he whispered, pointing his nose toward a barrel. "That's just a barrel of root beer," Dad said. Harley's tail wagged. "So we're definitely getting close to the snacks." That evening they camped near a golden wheat field. The sun dipped low, turning everything orange and pink. Dad set out lawn chairs and made a small campfire. Harley curled up beside him. "Do you think the stars will come out?" Harley asked. Dad nodded. "Oh yes, prairie stars are some of the brightest you'll ever see." As night fell, the sky turned into a blanket of glitter. Harley blinked up in awe. "There's more stars than I have snacks." "That's saying something," Dad chuckled, rubbing Harley's ears. The next morning, Oliver rumbled north, where the land shifted from fields to deep green forests. Harley sniffed the air. "Dad, this smells like squirrels." They hiked through the boreal forest, spotting birds, mushrooms, and a moose drinking from a quiet pond. Harley tiptoed. "He's very large and majestic." In the clearing, Harley spotted a group of kids learning about tree rings and animal tracks. Curious, he padded over and sat beside them. The park ranger smiled. "Looks like we've got another eager learner." Harley watched as she drew a triangle to explain a beaver dam. "Dad, we're learning geometry." Back on the road, they pulled into Saskatoon Berry Pie Cafe. Harley's nose led them there. After a big slice, Harley's had whipped cream, lots of whipped cream. They visited the town of Fort Qu'Appelle and then stopped to see the world's tallest teepee and medicine hat. Harley stared up, stunned. Dad, that's bigger than Oliver. It's bigger than my snack jar. It's a symbol of heritage and respect, said Dad. It honors the indigenous peoples of these lands. Harley nodded his head, then whispered, It's also a really good place to chase your tail. Just saying. Oliver's tires crunched along the gravel road as they pulled into a quiet little town surrounded by hills and wide skies. East End? Dad read aloud. Home of Scotty. Who's Scotty? Harley asked, perking up in the front seat. A farmer, a hockey player, a famous snack chef? Dad grinned. Even better. Scotty is the largest Tyrannosaurus Rex ever found in Canada. Maybe even the world. Harley's eyes widened. A dinosaur? Inside the T-Rex Discovery Center, Harley's nose pressed to every display case. There were fossils of sea creatures, ancient plants, and even giant turtles. But then, they turned the corner. Dad! There it was. Towering, toothy, and terrifyingly awesome. Scotty. A massive T-Rex skeleton stood proudly in the center of the room. Harley's jaw dropped open. She's beautiful, he whispered, tail wagging slowly. Scotty was discovered near here in 1991, Dad explained. Took years to dig her out and study her. But now she lives here, teaching everyone about the ancient world. Harley stood in front of her, puffed out his chest, and barked softly. I'm not scared, he said bravely. She looks like she'd be a good guard dino. Maybe even a good snuggler. A guide nearby smiled. We like to think of Scotty as the protector of East End. Harley turned to Dad. Can I be a dinosaur when I grow up? You're already halfway there, Dad chuckled. You've got the appetite. Harley beamed. Before leaving, Harley picked out a tiny dino plush in the gift shop. This is Tiny Scotty, he declared, clutching it in his paws. She's coming on the rest of the trip. For good luck. And with that, they climbed back into Oliver, ready for the next leg of the journey. One plush dino richer and a whole lot more amazed. Oliver cruised into Regina just as the morning sun lit up the golden dome of the provincial legislature. Regina! Harley barked, stretching out on the dash. What's here, Dad? Dad smiled. Something really special. We're going to learn about the Mounties. Harley tilted his head. Mountains? But it's so flat. Dad chuckled. Nope, Mounties. As in the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. This is where they train and where their story is told. They pulled into the RCMP Heritage Center, where the red serge jackets gleamed in displays, and the smell of polished wood filled the air. Inside, Harley's eyes went wide at the rows of uniforms, badges, and historic photographs. Dad, they have horses and hats like yours, but shinier. That's right, Dad said, pointing to a display. The RCMP have been around since the 1800s. They helped shape Canada, kept peace across the land, especially out here in the West. Harley stood tall in front of a statue of a Mountie on horseback. I could be a Mountie, Dad. I'm brave. I'm loyal. I've sniffed out at least 17 forgotten sandwiches. Dad smiled, then looked thoughtful. You know, they had famous police dogs too, just like you. Harley gasped. Wait, do you think they need a golden dog with a snack radar? Maybe, Dad said, winking, but you'd need to pass training. Harley strutted around proudly. Push-ups, Paw Patrol, snack search drills. I'm ready. They watched a video about the RCMP musical ride, rows of horses moving in perfect patterns, and Harley's tail thumped the floor in time with the music. Before leaving, Harley bought a little red Mountie hat from the gift shop. He tried to wear it tilted dramatically over one ear. Dad, do I look official? You look very heroic, Dad said. As they left the center, Harley looked out at the wide sky. I liked this stop. It made me feel proud. Dad put a hand on his shoulder. Me too, bud. Let's go. We've got more to see. Oliver rumbled down a dusty back road in southern Saskatchewan. The prairie had changed. Rolling hills had turned into something wilder. Rock formations loomed in the distance like sleeping giants. Where are we, Dad? Harley asked, ears perked. Dad smiled, eyes on the horizon. The Big Muddy Badlands, a place full of legends, outlaws, and ancient history. Harley's eyes sparkled. Did you say outlaws? They pulled into a lookout and stepped out into the wind. The land before them was like something out of a storybook. Canyons, caves, and rugged cliffs stretching to the horizon. Dad pointed to a massive, flat-topped hill. That's Castle Butte. It's like nature's skyscraper. Harley gazed up. It looks like something a dragon would live on. They hiked around the base of the butte, passing wind-sculpted hoodoos and shadowy caves. A tour guide nearby told them tales of horse thieves, rum runners, and even ghost stories whispered on the prairie wind. Harley stuck close to Dad's leg. I'm brave, but I'd rather not meet a ghost or a horse thief today, unless they have snacks. They reached a cave carved into the rock. Inside were markings, ancient indigenous petroglyphs, faint but still powerful. Harley stared at them in awe. These are really old, huh? Dad nodded. People lived and traveled through here for thousands of years. The land remembers everything. They stood quietly for a while, listening to the wind echo through the canyons. Finally, Harley broke the silence. Dad? Yeah, bud. Can I be part outlaw, part dinosaur hunter, and part Mountie when I grow up? Dad laughed. You can be anything you want, Harley. That night, as stars blinked into the sky and Oliver camped beneath the shadow of Castle Butte, Harley lay curled up in his blanket with tiny Scotty the Dino plush tucked under his chin and his Mountie hat tilted over one ear. Best province ever, he whispered. Dad chuckled. And we've still got a lot of Canada to go. He brought out the map, and he and Harley carefully drew their path before crawling into Oliver for a good night's sleep. Next stop, Manitoba.
What a great day that turned out to be. Best day ever. I can't wait until next week when we go on another adventure. Make sure you click subscribe so you can join me, and like my video too, please, because I sure like you. See you next week, friends.